Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Galactic Court podcast. It's been a few weeks since I've done an episode, to be fair. Life always gets in the way. But as always, it is good to be back. And as I always do, have a fantastic guest to be able to have a bit of Star Wars chat today. Going to be chatting about some upcoming projects. Well, pretty much most of the upcoming projects that we know about. And if we've got a bit of time, just a bit of why we still love Star Wars and what we hope for the future. But as you may have seen on social media, the show's going to be stopping in a few episodes' time, going on indefinite hiatus. Yes, I can see all the tears in the crowd already. Don't worry, it's all good. Just as I've mentioned on social media, life gets in the way a little bit, and so the show's going to be on the back burner for a while. Not sure how long, to be fair. Could be a year, could be 2 years, could be forever. Hopefully not. In the meantime, I am going to be joining another podcast and jumping on with that particular crew. It's going to be a lot of fun. They're sort of quite well known within our little community already, and that announcement is to come in the near future. It's just going to be really good to be part of a crew rather than flying Han Solo, shall we say. But it doesn't mean it's going to be the end forever for Galactical Podcast. But for now, 3 episodes to go. And as I mentioned, you know him. You've seen him before on them many times. It's so good to have him back as we get towards the end. But please welcome, from Krypton To Alderaan, it's Joey.
It's me. Thank you.
How are we doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thanks, man. It is an honor to be here it always is. Love being on this show. But yeah, as being one of your last guests before you come back from your hiatus, at least. Very happy to be here. Very honored to have been asked. So thank you so much for having me.
It's always been a pleasure to have you on, buddy. We were talking just before we started the stream that the first episode you were on was the middle of Ahsoka season 1. The episode 5, Anakin Skywalker episode. So it's been sort of 2 years, and I think it was about middle of 2023, was it?
Oh my goodness.
It came out. So
sounds right, but also crazy how time works.
It's mental, isn't it? It doesn't feel like it was I'm getting somewhere in between 2.5 years ago. So
yeah,
absolutely mental that much time has passed. And you've been on quite a few episodes now. We've done quite a few bits together. We've done Clone Wars. We've done a few other bits and pieces. You've been on anniversary episodes now as well.
That was a real fun one.
You're part of the Galactic Core furniture now, buddy. And you'll always have that little footnote on the bottom of your memoirs. So it's all good.
Yeah. I'm going to go update my social media accounts right now.
Exactly, absolutely. Yeah. Guest on Galactic Core Podcast. It's what everyone needs on their resume, to be fair. Yeah. And it's a shame that there's only 7 podcasts that continually do that.
It's a very prestigious,
I suppose. It's a prestigious list of people that continually get to come back by invite. So, and of course, the final 2 episodes we've got familiar faces as well. Actually, I keep getting this the wrong way around, to be fair, in the fact that this isn't 3 episodes to go, this is 2 episodes to go. So last week was Sisters Assembled, who's been a regular reviewing Marvel shows, where we did our top 5 MCU projects since Endgame. That was really fun to do. And obviously, you got this week, and then next week, Clan Mandalorian's on for the final episode, where we're going to be ranking all the Star Wars films. We did Star Wars TV shows a while back, and so I thought, why not do the films as well? So that's going to be a fun one. I know what's going to be both of our number ones, because we both know what our favourite Star Wars film is, so that's going to be no secret. But you need to tune in to find out what's in the 12-2 spots.
Yeah,
so
I'm very excited.
Controversy there.
I'm excited to hear where you all put everything.
I think the bottom 2, are pretty much sold on as well, to be fair. I can probably say those because, obviously, number 1, everyone's probably going to guess that already. But I think the bottom 2 slots for the 2 of us are probably going to be filled by the Clone Wars movie and Solo. Because I know neither of us are fans of that.
Yep.
So
that makes sense.
Come and find out what's in 10 to 2, everyone, since we pretty much know the rest.
Brandon, if you're watching, move Solo up on the list.
I'm sure he said before that Solo was bottom of the list for him, the worst Star Wars film. So apart from Clone Wars movie, which, it's not exactly great, but I still count it in there as one of the movies because it was technically theatrical release. So
It's a thing. Yeah.
But we're here to chat about upcoming theatrical releases for Star Wars and everything that's upcoming. So got a nice list here of things, pretty much in well, the ones that we definitely know the dates for. We'll talk about in order, and then the ones that are in development technically, and are to come. So let's kick off with Star Wars Vision Season 3. I think everyone kind of forgets about this because it's not like canon universe, is it? So but that's out October 29th of this year. I really liked Visions. Season 1 was the better one for me out of the two so far, especially like that first episode, the Ronin, like the black and white one with like the Japanese style. Excuse me, Ronin, because he even had a comic made after that of what he did after that episode. It's the only thing from Visions that's ever been put into like writing after that. So I really enjoyed it. I like this alternative take and letting like the Japanese studios sort of just have their own like vision of it and anime, because I'm not a big anime fan either, to be fair. I don't watch a lot of anime, so this is like a gateway entrance for me into anime in a way that if I watch this, maybe I can find something of a similar style. But how are you with Visions?
Oh, I have not forgotten about Visions Volume 3 because I love Visions. I'm a huge fan. I've come a long way since Volume 1. Back when Volume 1 was released, I was, you could probably say, a canoniphile and didn't really understand stuff that wasn't canon coming out. But honestly, it has been, I mean, it's been beautiful. Every episode is beautiful. I think every episode has its own animation style. It's just an incredible thing to watch. It's incredible to also think of like the studios, the people who have gotten a knock on the door from Lucasfilm and someone say, do you want to make Star Wars? You want to make your Star Wars that you've been thinking about since you were 12 years old? Like that just is just so that's my headcanon of the way that goes. And I love Star Wars animation, and I am a fan of anime, so it all lines up pretty well here. And the fact that with Volume 3, we're getting to return to some stories from Volume 1 is very exciting for me as well. So
I didn't know.
Yeah, we're getting the ninth. We're returning to the Ninth Jedi, at least. And so there's a couple of things like that where we're kind of redefining the formatting or changing things up a bit. But I'm very, very excited for Volume 3.
Now you said that, it's triggered something. We're getting the Ronin back as well, though, aren't we?
Ooh, I should have looked this up before we started.
No, it's just because you triggered it in me, and I'm sure when I watched the trailer that I'm sure I saw the Ronin in there somewhere. If my memory's bad, then fair enough. But
yes,
I could have sworn that it's triggered a memory that the Ronin is now in there. So if that is, that's amazing, because he was by far the best character for me so far. Because he's not even like, because everyone says like, oh, he's got a red lightsaber, he's a Sith, and then he's like, I'm not a Sith. So he's obviously either a former Jedi or like literally a Ronin, who's taken the red lightsaber off someone like another Sith before. So,
yes, yeah, you are right. We are returning to the Ronin, and I think if I remember correctly, it is following a bit of the story, a bit of the novel that takes place that was released after Volume 1. So we're returning to some characters, and we're changing up some of the formatting and stuff. But man, everything looks awesome, and I'm very, very excited for Visions Volume 3. It's also like an oasis in a time of massive drought in Star Wars. So yeah, I'm already like waiting. I'm already like impatient with getting the next thing, right? We have very little coming out soon, as we'll get to. So that adds another level to my excitement for Volume 3.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously since like COVID, when they were pumping out like Marvel TV series and films, like you literally have maybe a couple of weeks in between one finishing and then something else coming out, and they sort of like filled the gaps in as well with Star Wars TV series in that time as well. And now we've gone back into like where they've decided, we want to make quality over quantity, and so everything's dropped massively.
Yeah.
My mind's gone blank for some reason. Have we even had anything Star Wars decent this year?
Decent?
Did we even have anything Star Wars this year?
Man, again, time is playing tricks on me.
See, I mean, I know it's September now, but blimey, my mind's gone blank as if we had anything Star Wars this year.
Yeah, we had. I mean, when did Andor end?
Ah, yes, Andor. We did have Andor.
Yes.
But that's the only thing we've had this year, though, isn't it? So
yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't what we got this year was good in quality, but we've had no quantity, so we say. And by the looks of it, it's going to be the same next few years, unless they get a lot of this stuff into development. But moving on from Vision, so the next project after that, May next year, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. We've had some high quality stills put out there recently, which were basically the same ones that we got from the leaked trailer from Comic-Con earlier on the year or last year, whatever it was. So it's not something that, if you're into seeing those things, we haven't seen already. But your take on the upcoming movie, would you have preferred a season 4, or were you happy that it's going to be a movie? Because there is that danger, isn't there, that if this is just like a side quest episode, where it's like, hey, go and do all the same shit that you've done in most of the episodes, which is you need something from this planet, but they'll only give it to you if you do this side mission for them. And if that's the film, then what's the fucking point?
Sure. Yeah. I think like it's important to maybe qualify my response to this one in that like I don't always love a Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I don't always love a Star Wars thing, but hey, if someone out there loves the Star Wars thing that I don't love, I love that. With that said, not the biggest fan of The Mandalorian season 3. So not completely disappointed in like maybe holding off or not getting a season 4. I'm excited to see what this movie does, especially if it's setting up a next like chapter of Star Wars. If this is like a springboard for whatever stuff Favreau and Filoni have planned for the future of Star Wars, or their Star Wars, or I guess now all Star Wars is Filoni's Star Wars. I'm excited to see. And honestly, like having a little bit of hope, having a little bit of like optimism in what comes next isn't a bad thing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Again, it's hard to not look forward to a Star Wars thing. Man, I don't know if I would have had the same answer if you had asked me right after season 3 aired, though. But hey, Sigourney Weaver just 2 days ago said something about it being better than Andor. I'm paraphrasing her and taking it super out of context. Like,
no, she pretty much said
that. But yeah, so maybe we're in for the greatest thing our eyes have ever beheld, but we'll see.
And you have to take her things with a pinch of salt in terms of how she looks at it, because has a history of saying such things and it turning out to be not the greatest. I mean, I'm a big fan of this. Yeah, I know. Like Marvel's, like the Netflix The Defenders, when it brought the Marvel Street Heroes together, she said it was like going to be the best thing that Netflix has done in terms of the Marvel series. And I was actually a big fan of the Defenders series, far more than most people. Because I just looked at how fun it was and how much I just enjoyed the four being together. But you can't say it's the best thing that they did in terms of the Marvel Netflix shows, because every single season of Daredevil's above it. Probably series 1 of Jessica Jones is above it, and things like that. So you've got to take what she says as a picture, so just because she happens to be in it.
Right.
But they've talked about the fact that, actually, before I get to that, do you think that for this to be a success as well, it has to make progress towards the end game of this like Thrawn New Republic film? Because obviously we keep getting told that this is where all this timeline, the Mandoverse timelines, converge, is in the final movie with Thrawn being the bad guy here. So do you think they need to start making moves? Because realistically, we're not going to get a Boba Fett season 2. It's unlikely at this point we're probably going to get a Skeleton Crew season 2. Which means that realistically we've got this film and Ahsoka season 2, and then that probably rolls us up to it. And so we know that obviously Thrawn's going to play a big part in season 2 of Ahsoka. Do we need to have some movement towards that, and at least Thrawn being in this at some point, now he's back in the galaxy, to make this a more cohesive part of the Mandoverse timeline and that movement towards the final film?
Yeah, that's an interesting question that I honestly had not considered, because not a ton of it feels cohesive. And so I think I've still been thinking all of this is like their own independent thing. Yes, we got some Ahsoka in The Mandalorian, and then she went off and did her own thing, and they mentioned Thrawn in both things, and then we see Thrawn. So I don't know, but I think my answer is that like Filoni and Favreau have like an end game. It's hard for me to believe that they have not mapped this all out,
They should have
especially
done.
because some of the criticism of the show already and some of the criticism of like Star Wars within the past 15 years or so, it's really hard to imagine that they and it's Dave Filoni. And so it's hard to imagine that they don't have this all mapped out. So I don't necessarily, and we don't know when, we don't know where or when it ends. So if this is the beginning of a trilogy of things, then, you know, I don't know like how much progress it would have to make towards that goal. I guess it would be nice to kind of start to bring stuff together. And from some of the stills we've seen, it kind of looks like it's going that way. And we're getting like more of the Rebels crew back and stuff. So, but it's also really hard for me to like understand how the Mandalorian and like Hera and Ahsoka all come together at towards the end of this. Like, yes, we get Zeb with Mando and Grogu, and he's the obvious tie to the Ghost crew, but I just can't. I just like think of the Ahsoka series and the Mandalorian series as such different animals that it's hard for me to join them together in my mind. And also, I'm a bit hesitant because I don't want them to do Thrawn. This is a very, again, selfish, like, this is exclusively my opinion, but I don't want them to do Thrawn the way I don't want them to do Thrawn. So that's hard for me. It's hard. I want to be like, well, let's wait a minute. Let's not get too hasty here. Let's not just like make him the villain, the super villain, which is the easy move. Like, I love, I believe I've said this on Brandon's podcast as well, but I love Star Wars books as much as I love Star Wars everything else. And so I've read the new Thrawn series, and he's not necessarily like a bad guy in that. So I'm like, hashtag good boy Thrawn, come on, let's like, and like Filoni has talked with Timothy Zahn about the character and stuff. So that's my long-winded way of saying like, it's hard for me to think they won't make progress towards their end goal, but I'm also hesitant because I want Thrawn to be, I don't want him to be heir to the Empire Thrawn. I want him to be this new canon Thrawn. And so that's where my hesitation in continuing the storyline lies, which is like, obviously we're going to get this like such a silly perspective, but I've come to realize that that's that I'm digging my heels in a little bit with that.
I mean, I guess my viewpoint is that I would want to see at least a small Thrawn cameo. When I say cameo, I mean like maybe like 15 minutes, 20 minutes of him in it doing something. And realistically, I think the Shadow Council should be in this as well. Because from what we've seen in the stills and the leaks trailer and stuff, there's going to be a lot more of the Empire Remnant stuff around.
Yeah.
And obviously we see them like, you know, going on asshats and blowing them up and stuff. So to me, it would make sense that you start making those moves and you have the Shadow Council in it. And now Thrawn's back, Thrawn appearing to the Shadow Council would be the perfect opportunity to intertwine him into the Mando storyline, especially with Moff Gideon gone. So like Moff Gideon being the one that doubted that Thrawn was going to show up or he was going to be back around, as we saw in season 3 of Mando, and now that, you know, Moff Gideon's out the picture, Thrawn shows back up and takes control of the Shadow Council. That's perfect for me. It'd be the perfect thing to do.
Sure.
The only thing is, you say that they have to have this mapped out, and I think they have had done to a certain extent. The problem for me is then that when you start tweaking things for both money purposes and then making the story longer, because the rumors are that they've talked about if this film does really well in the box office, they want to make it into a trilogy, and therefore you're then extending the storyline to that final film with Thrawn. So like, are we not? Does that mean then that potentially they have to maybe do a season 3 of Ahsoka to fill in the gaps as well between those 3 films? And it does give them more time to bring the story together. You could bring the skeleton crew into it because, you know, on the latest, this is proper nerd stuff now, but they recently released a new galaxy map for the Star Wars galaxy. We found out that Dathomir, where we last saw Thrawn dropping off the mothers, and Atalon from the planet from the Skeleton Crew series are right next door to each other. So there's an easy tie in there if they want to do it that way. And so if you extend this into a trilogy, you have to then maybe do another season of Ahsoka, and then it's going to be like 10 years before we then get the Thrawn film, and you've prolonged it. And is that worth the wait then? When you've already said everything ties up with the Thrawn film, and in that way, do you then talk about, okay, how are we going to fit Boba Fett into this? Because he's out there doing his thing. Is he just going to randomly show up 10 years later from season 1 of Boba Fett to the Thrawn film? And all these sorts of bits, then you have to like start questioning a little bit. And so it's like, I don't really want a trilogy. As much as I love The Mandalorian and Grogu overall, I don't necessarily want a trilogy out of this. I'm like, give me this timeline without making it extended for no reason other than box office potential. And you can't blame them because Grogu's been a moneymaker, as Mandalorian has as well, to be fair. But, Pedro Pascal's not going to want to voice his character forever because we know how little time he actually spends in the suit on set. It was good. So, apart from that obligatory once-a-season helmet reveal.
Which we didn't even get in season 3.
True. This is true. After he retook his vow, didn't he? So... But yeah, so for me, I'm absolutely looking forward to this upcoming film. I just hope it's not just a spin-off episode that has some meaning to it that pushes the story forward. I think that's what we need from this. I could maybe see, I wouldn't necessarily be disappointed if there was one more film after it. Like if you made this film, the next film after it, including Mandalorian and Ahsoka, and maybe Skeleton Crew, and then finish it all with the Thrawn film with them all coming together. Make that the trilogy rather than a Mandalorian Grogu trilogy and then the Thrawn film on top of it. That's what I'd be happy with at most.
Sure.
So let's not push it too far on that one, Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
But speaking of Dave Filoni and how much he loves his own characters because he can't let them go, I've spoken about that many times, and my big issue with Dave Filoni on that one is that he loves his own character so much he can't let them go. Ahsoka season 2. We've already mentioned it a little bit. That supposedly we think is coming out next year, probably around about this time next year, fall next year. Where are you on this one? Because season 1 was hit and miss. Some people were not happy with certain bits of it, myself included. Other bits was really happy. I'm worried. I'm not going to lie. I'm actually a little bit worried about this because I'm worried that they're going to push too much into using legacy characters and potentially ruining not necessarily the legacy of, say, Anakin Skywalker, but you start bringing him back into things and overusing him a bit, and it becomes then a point where you've ruined what was already there set before. And like the whole rumor of like maybe getting Abeloth in this series, and obviously like Anakin, the son, and Ahsoka becoming like the new trilogy, it kind of like ruins the whole point of what Anakin was there to do in the first place a little bit. So I am worried that they're going to push things too far, and Dave Filoni's not going to let go of things, and he's just going to ruin it a little bit. At the same point, I'm kind of excited because I want to see more of this.
Yeah. So, point of clarification: do you mean ruining what the point of Anakin was in the Ahsoka show, or ruining the point of who he was overall in Star Wars?
I mean, I thought his cameo in season 1 was perfect. Coming to Ahsoka in sort of like the world between worlds as sort of like a mentor and telling her what he needed to do, and then leaving him off in that last episode as just like a Force ghost almost, just looking over her on that planet in the new galaxy. Was it Peridia, if my memory serves? I thought that was perfect. You could have left him like that, and it doesn't damage his legacy of the Chosen One or what he did throughout like the prequels and even the Kenobi series, which expanded obviously more on him as Vader. I just think if you start bringing it back into it, pushing it too much, and it's just kind of like, I don't know. It kind of feels weird because like by the time the sequels come around, he's not really the Chosen One anymore. No one really knows or anything about it or anything like that. Like Luke tends to seem to have forgotten all about his like legacy as Anakin Skywalker and the Chosen One and stuff. And obviously with Palpatine back as well, and then Rey being like almost like the new Chosen One for the new generation, it kind of like feels like he's been forgotten about. And so you kind of want to leave him from like the prequels and original trilogy and his status from that, and overusing him in this and pushing a story too far just gives that chance that you ruin his overall legacy. It's because it's very dangerous ground by bringing him back and using him. You've got to use him just that right amount, haven't you? Like I said, season 1 I thought was perfect amount, just one episode and then a little appearance right at the end as a Force ghost. That was perfect for me. Season 2's dangerous ground because the rumor is he's got a big part to play.
Yeah.
So it is.
Do you think there's potential for this to kind of Oh, I'm trying to say the opposite of what you've said. Do you think that there is the potential to like restore him is like in our minds as he once was, as the true chosen one?
I mean,
Like,
there is a lot of
could
debate,
there?
isn't there? Because, like, is Anakin the chosen one? Did Luke then take over that mantle because Anakin had failed?
Sure.
Is Rey the new chosen one because the
Yeah.
Force, like the dark side of the Force, came back more powerful again, and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff? So, but the thing is, I don't think there's anything on Anakin to correct. I think, like, because of the swath of love that the prequels now has
Yeah.
from where it was originally to where it is now, because all the people that watched it as kids growing up have turned into adults and are the ones that give it the most love, and so therefore he's held in such high esteem, and because of that he's come back into the Star Wars world. He's started going to Comic-Cons and shows again. He's come back to doing actual like TV shows and stuff, so and the character. So I don't think there was anything there that was ruined for him. It was just the fact that there's the potential to push it too far and then have it overplayed.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. There's so much to this show. So Ahsoka, I'm sure I said it on the first episode I was on here talking with you about ever. We were talking about Ahsoka. And I was sure I said it there. Ahsoka is like tied for first, either way, top tier Star Wars character for me. I have my little Ahsoka shrine back here. I love her. She's definitely my favorite Star Wars character. So I was very hesitant going into the show. I ended up really liking the first season. I think we picked me to be on that episode, the World Between Worlds episode, because we were probably chatting, and that is my kind of Star Wars. On Krypton To Alderaan, we talk a lot about like what makes Star Wars special to me, and that's the lens that I look through this stuff at Star Wars. And the like timey-wimey, mystical, magical stuff is what like got me super into Star Wars and what continues to make Star Wars special to me. And it sounds like season 2 is going to be so much more of that. And so that's where I'm like grabbed on, like I'm holding on to it. I think there is the like, I guess there's always the potential for things to go south or for like, you know, things to get overused. Like the Mortis episodes of the Clone Wars are my favorite episodes of the Clone Wars. Like that's where that's again, like that's the mystical, magical stuff that I love about Star Wars. And to see, I'm also a Star Wars animation person and an advocate for animation. And so like, I don't think like things necessarily have to be translated into live action just to get the audience. Like the animation is really, really good. That said, I am kind of like excited to see how they do these characters in live action. If we get Abeloth, that will blow my... If they actually do that, that will blow my mind. That is one of those moments where like, you crazy son of a bitch, you did like Jeff Goldblum, Jurassic Park. I can't believe you did this. For me, it'll be in a good way, because what an insane character to throw in the mix here of this. Like we were just talking about the Mando and Grogu movie, which is completely, it has nothing to do with any, as far as we know, it has to do with the Imperial Remnant and a war. And I'm hoping something extra galactic that Thrawn is a good guy about. Anyway, we're doing all this mystical, magical stuff in Ahsoka season 2, which I'm excited about, but does not tie in anywhere else. So it's kind of like, I don't really know, but I will be very excited to see things like Abeloth if they take a risk and do that. I also think, like, for me, I'm glad you shared your perspective on this. I knew we would kind of have different perspectives on this, but for me, if they do show Anakin in the role of the father and Ahsoka in the role of the daughter, which would make sense with Morai, and, you know, Sam Witwer maybe as the son, that to me would also just like reaffirm Anakin's chosen oneness, because he took the position that the father said he was supposed to take. Like that was part of that prophecy, right? Like the father was looking for his replacement, and this would be like the period at the end of that sentence. And maybe Anakin would stay there, or stay ethereal and just be that and truly bring balance to the Force. Just talking about it in this way is giving me goosebumps because I want to see that so bad. I want to see him finally take up the mantle of what he was trying to be kind of like groomed for on Mortis by these gods. Incredible episodes. If you're watching this and you have not seen those episodes of the Clone Wars, just go watch them. They're incredible.
Yeah, best.
And so I was coming at it from a very different approach of yours, and I was not maybe considering like the negative aspect of kind of overusing the character, and it's great to have him back and now he's in everything and whatever. But I got to tell you, Andy, I would love to see him up on that up on his own little throne and be a good guy. He's like bringing balance to the Force on his own little throne as a Force god. Oh God, you're making me more excited.
No, I can't deny that would be immense. Because I mean, whilst you talk about that, I was just thinking that because obviously he's come back and he's done Ahsoka, he's done Kenobi. Even though it's still hilarious to me when they show the like the episode 2 flashback in Kenobi of him and Obi-Wan training.
Oh yeah,
and it's still amazing to see like a 40-year-old Hayden Christensen trying to be a 19-year-old again. It's absolutely hilarious. But the guy has such aura as Anakin Skywalker on screen now that every time he's appeared on screen doing anything, and even in like every interview he does, every time he turns up to a Comic-Con, the aura that Hayden Christensen now has as part of Star Wars legacy means that I'm not sure that you could ruin it on screen, if that also makes sense, because he knows this character so well now, and he's also become invested so much again in that character and in Star Wars that you could have him on screen and everything else could be on fire like a shitstorm around him of an episode, and he would probably still be amazing in that episode. To the point where you probably can't you'd have to work maybe hard to ruin his Star Wars legacy as a character. But what you're saying also makes sense in the fact that to round him off, becoming like taking that position up as the father and whatever, would probably, I couldn't imagine maybe a more perfect ending for him, rather than him just letting him be a Force ghost for the rest of his time or whatever, or consciousness is still there in like the cosmic Force. So yeah, fair play on that one. I think we've got every reason to be excited about Ahsoka season 2. I think it's like everything. I love Star Wars so much. I get fearful that it's going to be awful, and we just don't want that. So season 2, hopefully next year. No confirmed date for that yet. Obviously, we've already talked about the Mandoverse New Republic Thrawn film as part of the chat. So next thing coming out next year, though, Maul Shadow Lord. I know loads of people, including myself, that's going to be excited about that.
Yeah,
the return of Maul, animated Maul as well, showing post Clone Wars how he built up the criminal empire and effectively what happens in there. Because the next time we basically there is that 10-year gap essentially between when we see him at the end of Clone Wars and then his little cameo at the end of Solo, which is basically 10 years apart. So. And then it's another 5-6 years till we see him in his little, as his bit part cameo throughout Rebels.
Yeah,
in the timeline. So, again, though, Dave Filoni just can't let his characters go, and he's coming back to animated Maul to run this. But it should still be a pretty damn good series.
Hey, he knows what. To be fair, Dave Filoni has created. Like, I also want to see more of Dave Filoni's characters. Like, he's created characters that I love. I like Maul somehow became like Ahsoka's my favorite character. Maul, for me, is like one of the greatest villains in Star Wars. He's just as like cold and calculating and strategic as Palpatine. He plans upon plans, builds the greatest criminal empire in the galaxy. Maybe not builds, but takes over and combines them. Anyway, yeah, I'm also like excited for Dave Filoni to be bringing back these characters, and he knows it's popular, and so it's like a win-win, right? Where the audience is going to get what they want, and they'll be and I'll be happy seeing Maul back on the screen, and Disney will get what they want. Their show will be a success. They'll probably sell some stuff. And it'll all be good. But I think this question for you as well, but I'm just going to say that this is the thing I'm most excited about on your list. And I know what else is coming up on your list, but this ranks at the top. So we can wait until your list is done and I can ask you the same question. But just while we're here, while it's top of mind,
I'll tell you, it's
this
not
is the
top
thing
of my
I'm most
list.
excited for.
I don't know. I'm definitely excited by this, but I'm not like super duper excited by it.
Mhm.
Simply because I feel it's like just a return to something that we know and love. So it's not like something brand new and exciting. It's a story about a character that we already know his beginning, we already know his end. It's kind of filling in the gaps. It's a bit in a way like when the Andor series was announced. I was a bit like, okay, I'm excited to see more of those characters because I loved him in Rogue One, but we don't necessarily know his beginning, but we know his end. And it's really tough, I think, sometimes when you already know the end of a character's story, so there's no suspense in a way. Like every time Andor gets into a situation where he might die, and I'm like, but he's not going to die because we know how he dies. And like I know where he ends up, and it was just a question of how does he get there. And so this is basically the thing for Maul now. It's like we know he was like leader of crime syndicates, and so we just want to see how he got there after the end of the Clone Wars, and what he does in between. What's going to be exciting is how they tell that story.
Yeah.
So that's 100%. What Andor did. And obviously Andor tied into some of the major points of the Star Wars history. You know, the rebellion itself, getting that set up, getting that up and running, leading you right up to Rogue One in the original trilogy. That's what was exciting about it, is showing those bits in between of how they got to those points and actually tying these characters to be major players now in the Star Wars story. You know, is the sad part of it that is more story here really that relevant to the Star Wars universe, or is it just indulging the fan side of the fact that we love this character and we wanted more of him? That's almost what it feels like to me. I'm playing very much Devil's Advocate against you tonight in terms of like,
you sure are.
I'm just thinking. I try and think a bit more sensibly about it. I'm going, is this really needed? Like, but is it just because we love the character? Is this really going to make advances in the Star Wars universe story, and fill in a lot of gaps that we need in that time period? Or is it just fuck it, why not? Because he's amazing and he's popular.
I'm super happy with the latter.
I'm not saying that's a bad reason to do it, but at the same point,
as a fan, I am happy to be serviced by Disney, Lucas, Dave Filoni, whoever. But yeah, I think Andor kind of gives us hope for this. And I think like maybe we don't, I don't mean to like be pedantic or anything, but like need is a hard thing to like quantify. But like we don't, we might not need any of this, but I think, Andor gives us hope in terms of like how they fill in these gaps. And even the Bad Batch, right? Like the Bad Batch is, again, top tier level Star Wars for me. One of my favorite Star Wars things. Did we think it would have the impact that it did going into it? It filled in a lot of gaps, I think, and pointed to stuff that was happening in the future. And I think most of the time it did it in a very beautiful way. Probably more when you get outside of season 1. But I think Star Wars recently has a pretty good track record of taking something that is filling in besides Book of Boba Fett, taking in something that is filling a gap and telling a really incredible story in that space. And hopefully they continue with Shadow Lord. So that, but then also I would just be excited to eat popcorn and out of a mall shaped popcorn bucket and just sit there and watch him on screen.
Fair.
So
absolutely.
I'm in it either way.
I mean, to flip the script on what I'm saying in terms of like, is this needed? Because is it just bringing it back because it's a character we know and it's popular and that we love and is cool? Because just to put myself, I guess, into your shoes, if, for example, they just said we're going to do a Darth Vader series, I'd be falling over myself to get a hold of this series.
I should have done that. I really should have pushed it back to you with that. I can't believe I didn't think of that. I should have been.
I mean, because like I'm sitting here going, do we need
Thank you for making me my argument. Yeah.
But that's just me thinking, okay, how would I feel if it was a Vader series? Like, and I'd be head over heels for it, obviously, even though I know Vader's story. I know it completely. Like, I probably more than I know my own fucking life history. I know a Vader story. So it's like, that's how, I guess, like, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes of how excited you are for it. Like, okay, imagine if it was a Vader series. What are the chances? Because we know Ahsoka's not going to appear in the series because they don't meet again until Rebels, from where they left off at the end of Clone Wars. Unless Disney wants to retcon their history again for the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th time, whatever. What are the chances of a Vader versus Maul fight at some point in this series?
I think based on, well, I guess there is still a big time gap there, but I was thinking that based on Maul's reaction in Rebels when Vader shows up to Malachor, that they have had altercations in the past. So obviously would be incredible to see, even if it's just Maul knowing that he can't win. Like I don't know if I personally like need to see them fight physically, but just like some level of interaction, and then Maul knowing that he can't beat the guy, because he knew at the end of Clone Wars, he knew that Anakin was a puppet, you know, a tool of the greatest mind in the galaxy, pulling all the strings, and that they couldn't beat him. He could not beat them by himself. He needed Ahsoka. And so it would be, I hope that we get to see at least like some kind of confrontation between the two of them.
I mean, he says it in Rebels, doesn't he, at the end of season 2, when he's like, I can't beat Vader alone. I need you guys here with me. So it would be funny because, he would. I think that if there's some kind of confrontation, he has to disappear quickly, simply because he would get outclassed by Vader very, very quickly. But everyone says like how good of a fighter Maul actually is. Have you ever seen him win a lightsaber fight in all of Star Wars?
I'm going through all my Clone Wars knowledge, and
Vizsla is the only person in a lightsaber fight.
I guess he wins the Darksaber,
That's the only one he's beaten, because every other single lightsaber battle he's in, even against Ezra and Sabine in Rebels, against Kanan, against Ahsoka, against Sidious, against Kenobi, maybe Qui-Gon as well, you can throw in there.
The big one.
The very first one we ever saw him in. He loses, let's say, 90% of every lightsaber battle we've ever seen him in. So if he did have a lightsaber battle against Vader, he'd have to find some way to escape very quickly from that confrontation, because he would go down otherwise. So, I guess I'm wishing too much for them to have a proper lightsaber battle, because I think Vader would destroy him quite quickly. But I think a confrontation is the right word there, isn't it? I'd love to see that in the show. If
Cal Kestis can make it out of a lightsaber battle with Vader, then Maul sure can make it out of a lightsaber battle with Vader.
Fair enough.
But it would have to be, it would be the Ezra Kanan, we just have to like hold this guy off for a second until the ship is ready kind of thing, I think. I'm also excited to see Kira. I hope that I think she's also got to be part of the story. So that would be a cool thing too, and would tie in other comics and other stories and stuff like that. So,
Okay, so the only other thing we have an official release date for right now is Star Wars Starfighter, releasing in May of 2027. So Ryan Gosling's on board as a New Republic pilot, amongst a swath of other people that have been announced for this film recently as well. I'm quite excited for this film. I've come to like Ryan Gosling more of an actor over the last few years than maybe his early work, because I think he's taken on projects that have been quite fun, that he's really enjoyed doing, and just give him a chance to relax with it and it not be like, because I'm not necessarily someone to sit down and watch super, super serious films. I'd like a bit of lightness in my films, and obviously a bit of action and stuff. So I've enjoyed him over the last few years. I think he's going to be quite good in this film. We know that it's set after the events of Episode 9 as well. And so they said there's going to be maybe a few familiar faces from the New Republic showing up from that era. So presumably people from the sequel trilogy, maybe Rose Tico, I don't know, showing up fixing his X-Wing. But your thoughts on that film?
I don't think you could get Kelly Marie Tran to come back after, I guess maybe in like 30 years, like when,
it's cool, calm down, and everyone's grown up and loves it again.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't, this is the one that maybe I'm a little bit more like, sure, I'll give it a go. I don't know. I mean, I think it's, like Andor and Skeleton Crew have kind of proven that going outside of like a traditional Star Wars thing is like, can work. and work really well. And so, I know that this starfighter slash, what was the Patty Jenkins one?
I've
Rogue
got it on my list
Squadron.
here. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. So I know that this Rogue Squadron starfighter, this dogfight battle kind of situation movie has been at the forefront of their mind for a while. And I like Ryan Gosling, and I like the other people in this movie. So we'll see. And I think for the most part, I like Sean Levy, however you say his name. And so, so I am maybe not as excited, but happy to see where it goes. It's hard to not just want more Star Wars and be excited for more Star Wars. Like I've probably already said, but I love Matt Smith, and obviously the ups and downs of Matt Smith being in Star Wars, not being in Star Wars, has just had us all kind of on a yo-yo for the past several years.
Well, yeah, because he was supposed to be in episode 9, wasn't he? And he had his role cut from that. So
yeah, maybe young Palpatine.
I was thinking that.
Anyway, so we'll see what he does in this, but I'm excited to see him in a thing anyway.
I mean, you look at the initial cast for this. So you got Mia Goth, Ryan Gosling, Matt Smith, Amy Adams, Simon Bird. I don't know if you know who that is. He's mostly an English actor, most famously in The Inbetweeners over here, as well as a few other bits and pieces. Aaron Pierre, Jamal Westman, Daniel Ings. So it looks like a good solid cast, to be fair. And what they've got some of the the choreographers and stuff from Top Gun Maverick and things like that on. So I've actually got some high expectations for how good. I mean, you expect nowadays when it's got Disney money backing it, when it's Marvel and Star Wars, or Lucasfilm or whatever, that you expect the visuals and the aesthetics of it and the cinematography to be amazing. Because I think that's the thing
the volume.
I mean, I think that's the only good thing you can say about any of the bad Star Wars and Marvel stuff we've had in the last 5-6 years is that visually, or even the last 10 years, visually it's all looked good. You can't disagree that the cinematography of the sequels was amazing. It's just the storylines and plot just let it down. So but anyway, yes, I am looking forward to that film anyway. I think it's actually going to be a good fun film, and to see something from a more piloted sort of point of view is going to be good, rather than a spy or a Sith or Jedi. So I know we're in that weird stage where you've got people that say Star Wars belongs to the Sith, the Jedi, the mystical side of the universe, and people that go, we've seen all of that now, we want stories outside of that, and Andor has shown how exciting it can be outside of that.
Yeah,
but to be fair, Andor
go ahead.
I was just going to say, but Andor does tie into the greater Star Wars story, whether it's it being a standalone story or outside of the main set of films, where you don't have a bigger story to tie into. It's got to be a standalone thing. Whereas Rogue One, Andor, things like that, they tied into the bigger main storyline of Star Wars. So therefore, I kind of think that gives it an edge as well when it's not Jedi and Sith orientated, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. We'll see. I would be curious if they do tie it into the new Jedi stuff going on. But what was I going to say about this? Oh yeah. So I think as Star Wars fans, and especially previous generation of Star Wars fans, we get very protective of Star Wars and what Star Wars is. And like I said, I have a very specific thing that is what makes Star Wars special to me, and I love that thing, and I look through glasses colored in that thing. But I also think it's very important to expand on what Star Wars is and make Star Wars more accessible to people. And doing stuff like this is going to bring in new people into the fandom, new people into our communities, people who love Top Gun Maverick or, whatever, Top Gun and Top Gun, whatever they are, those kinds of movie fans. It provides access to Star Wars for that kind of, for fans who like that kind of stuff, which I also think is important. I think it's okay for the Star Wars, for the definition of Star Wars to expand. And this movie, as long as it actually happens, will definitely do that. This will bring in people. So I'm excited for that. I was thinking that I kind of think the opposite of real life actors as I do of fictional characters. I'm excited to see Maul because I know Maul and I know I like Maul, and Maul is a presence. I'm not necessarily always excited for like a well-known actor to be in a Star Wars thing, because that like I want. Yeah, the greatest part of like having David Cornsweet as Superman was like I didn't know who David Cornsweet was, and so it was like the suspension of disbelief was easier, and so like Ryan Gosling, whose face is painted on like every poster around, is pretty recognizable. So it removes some of that like illusion of the galaxy. That's
I get what you mean.
Yeah. But it's also great to have like high profile actors in a thing. It also like makes the thing more, it gives it more.
That's kind of new for Star Wars as well. It's not really a thing they've done before. So,
right.
I mean, you raised an interesting point that we don't unfortunately really have time to dive into too much today about the importance of opening Star Wars up to new audience and bringing aboard new fans, whether that's through, the choreographers that they use for other films, whether it's through well-known actors or something like that. It's a debate I've had many times and seen awful takes on both sides and great takes on both sides for why you should keep it to the fans that already know and love it. And if you introduce a fan to Star Wars, they happen to fall in love with it, that's great. But they also don't feel the need at times to open it up to other people and go, if you don't like it, then fuck off, leave us to it. Just let our... The problem is, as we've already talked about, as I know in the past as well, Star Wars has unfortunately some of the most toxic fan base out there, and it's minority in the corner. So it's something you're never going to win 100%, unfortunately, because people are like such gatekeepers for such things. But at the same point, I wish we probably need another hour to get into that subject. But yeah, I think it's interesting, because like we said, you just said Star Wars is bringing well-known names that it hasn't really done before, like maybe people that a little bit here and there. Like John Boyega, I knew from several little English indie film projects that he did before he got Star Wars and things like that, like Attack the Block. I don't know if you've ever heard of that film or seen it. It's a great film. You should really see if you can find it somewhere and watch it. It's great little weird London suburbs, like council estate alien invasion film, but it's so fucking good.
Oh, that sounds cool.
It is a really cool film.
What's it called?
Attack the Block.
Attack the Block. All right, cool.
Great little film. But at the same point, I think sometimes when you bring the big names into it, I still only then think of them as that character. Because it's hard when you look at people like Mark Hamill, Hayden Christensen, even obviously Ewan McGregor. I've seen him in many things before Star Wars, but you still first and foremost go, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Very true.
And so maybe that ends up being the way for some of these characters. Like Matt Smith, obviously predominantly Doctor Who. Nobody's really thinking about him for his role in Morbius, that's for fucking sure. But like Amy Adams, I predominantly think Lois Lane. And obviously Ryan Gosling, I couldn't name him down to a particular character because of the roles he's done. But after this, if I go, oh, he's the fucking pilot from Star Wars, then I think that's my issue, is that, look, you're perfectly right. And it goes, you think of the character sometimes ahead of the actor. But then sometimes, the actor to me is I only know them for their Star Wars role after that. So maybe that's going to be the way for these guys as well. Right, let's rip through what we've got listed. There's 4 or 5 other things that are in development that we know are going to be on the way. There's just no timeline for them yet. So we've got Simon Kinberg's Star Wars trilogy. This is rumoured to be episodes 10, 11, and 12. I hope it's fucking not. I think they need to leave shit alone now. I'm excited for another Star Wars trilogy that may obviously bring back certain characters, but I don't need an episode 10, 11, and 12. You've done the Skywalker saga, you messed around with it a little bit, and you just leave it as it is now. You don't need to expand on that anymore. If you want to do films post the Skywalker saga, that's fine. Just don't call it episodes 10, 11, and 12. It doesn't need that anymore. Whether we get before that, because obviously there's Shamin Abeid Chinoy's new Jedi Order movie we know is starring Rey. Supposedly, obviously, Finn already signed on to come back for that as well, and I doubt you could have Finn without having Poe and probably Chewie back for that as well. So in all likelihood, the sequel crew are going to be reunited for that film, because it's, as we know, set 10-15 years after episode 9. Rey setting up, as it already says, the new Jedi Order. So that's probably going to tie into then Simon Kinberg's Star Wars trilogy, if they do want to do 10, 11, 12. What are your thoughts on those 2 projects?
I think it's really weird to say we're making one movie so that we can make a trilogy, or vice versa. I think just stop calling them trilogies or whatever. I will say that like I'm excited for new Jedi Order stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing what the characters do and how we build off the sequel trilogy. And like the Jedi kind of need a win here. We have very few movies where the Jedi win and like win for some amount of time. So it would be nice to see like a new generation of Jedi being trained and stuff. The trilogy, I don't know what to think of. I'm super skeptical that it would ever happen, especially if it's a sequel trilogy. Oh, man, yeah, it would just really like I like a lot of the sequel trilogy, and there's some stuff I really don't like, but there's some stuff I really like. So it's really that's like where I go back and forth on this the most with my like level of actually wanting it to happen.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same, to be honest. So I just get nervous. Don't need more Skywalker saga. Leave it be. Don't need 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
Just leave it. Yeah, just let it be. If you have to a trilogy, I can't remember when everything needed to be a trilogy. What point that happened? Like maybe 15 years or so ago, everything had to be a trilogy all of a sudden. Rather than let's do one film, and if it's successful, let's maybe see if we can do a competent sequel. But no, everything's a trilogy nowadays. But yeah, I don't know what to make of that yet until we get a bit more. I guess like we're told a bit more about plot, storyline, who's appearing, whatever, what it's actually about. It's kind of like I guess we don't really know. So
yeah, it's also hard because Disney announces a lot of this stuff and then unannounces it. So
I mean, there's a fat load of stuff on my list that's like status unknown, presumed cancelled. So I'm not even going to go into those.
I'm going to take back everything I said just now, probably with the next thing you're going to say. So,
well, also speaking of things that we don't know anything about, really, the Taika Waititi Star Wars movie,
never mind.
that's still been confirmed. Again, one that makes me nervous because, like, Taika Waititi seemed to have a period where he was golden, and then he kind of went to shit from like Thor: Love and Thunder onwards. And so I'm kind of nervous that you're giving this guy a Star Wars film because, like, you don't want it to be ultimately like really goofy and like just cheesy and be a waste of the Star Wars universe. And him voicing 17 different aliens because he loves to get his voice into every film.
Right.
So yeah, we don't know anything about it. It's in development. It's still is confirmed to still be going ahead. I guess another one that we just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I love Taika Waititi. Aside from Thor: Love and Thunder, and what did he do? He did that soccer movie after that. And I'm not sure what else. Which I like. The soccer thing was okay, but pre that, I loved every movie that he made. Thor: Love and Thunder was just a little too goofy for me, and I don't know how that would look in Star Wars, but probably not for me.
Yeah. I'm just going to reel off some of the ones that we know aren't coming or status are unknown before I get to the final one I want to talk about, because the final one I want to talk about is the one that I'm most excited for. That's why I was saving it to last, to be fair.
Okay, we might be on the same page then.
But Rogue Squadron movie, like the Patty Jenkins one, probably isn't going to happen anymore. Boba Fett season 2, we've already mentioned, probably not going to happen unless they decide to extend this storyline by another 10 years. The Lando movie with Donald Glover. I want to see this happen. It was going to be a TV series. It was going to be a film. He claims it's still in development and it is going to happen. Writing it with his brother, but status is unknown at this period in time, which I loved him. It was my only nice part of Solo, or the good part of Solo, was him as Lando. So I would love to see him back as that. Rangers of the New Republic TV series, presumably cancelled. Rian Johnson Star Wars trilogy cancelled. I think a lot of people have a lot of opinion on that.
It rears its head as a thing every year or so, but yeah.
And then Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie cancelled officially, so that's not going to make it off the ground anymore, which is kind of a shame. I would have liked to have seen his ideas in the Star Wars universe, but let him do his thing over at Marvel whilst they've still got things going on there, I suppose. And then the last one, James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie, set 25,000 years in the past. A movie described as being like a religious blockbuster in a way, exploring the first group of people to find and connect with the Force, and therefore the start of even though in if you know anything about legends and the lore of the beginning of the Jedi, so to speak, it was very very different in terms. It's not as simple as just saying here are the first Jedi, here are the first Sith. It was all very different.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that. But yeah, I'm super excited for this movie.
Yeah.
I like delving into I'd love to go outside of like those 50, 60 years of the Skywalker saga now
Yeah.
and explore way back in the past. Now, a lot of people are calling for like Old Republic, like to the Old Republic stuff. And to me, you could break that into an absolutely epic, like 3 or 4 season long TV series rather than a film or a trilogy of films. They do a lot more good with that as a TV series if they ever decide to get to it, which they absolutely
Animated.
should. But going back to where it all starts, this is super interesting. What do you reckon?
Yeah. This is the one that I thought you were going to bring up. I would say Maul, Shadow Lord, and then this are on my like levels, the level of excitement that I have. I really, really hope this gets made. I like this would be such a cool thing to do and a new experience for everyone. Like you're saying, like get us out of the Skywalker saga timeline and into this. And also, like you're saying, the origin of this stuff is so interesting, and there's different species that that use the Force in different ways, and there's people who visit them and learn about how it's so intriguing to see how this all started, and will be a much more accessible way to understand it than having to read through legends, which is sometimes a bit of a slog and also not canon anymore. So yeah, I'm super excited for this. This also has pretty high potential to be my kind of Star Wars, mystical, magical nonsense. Yeah. And setting up presumably setting up the fight between Jedi and Sith, right? Like not only setting up their origins, but also setting up why they are enemies throughout all of space and time. So yeah, this is definitely it. Maul, Shadow Lord, Dawn of the Jedi, and then everything else scattered in there as well. I just hope it gets made.
Well, they've confirmed it. I know it's been a few years, but they confirmed it definitely going ahead apparently. So,
Yeah.
and I really hope they do. I think there's one interesting character that we potentially already know that could maybe appear in this. A particular droid that claims to be 25,000 years old.
Yeah.
Q Yang.
Yeah,
Yang from
that would
Clone
be
Wars
dope
and
as hell.
Ahsoka series. He's because there's that episode in Ahsoka where he's like, I've been around in this galaxy for 25,000 years and I know all these stories and stuff.
Mhm.
So if it's set in that sort of timeline, perhaps he could be one of the first droids that's made by an early rendition of the Jedi Order.
Yeah, that would be incredible. And also, I love that character throughout Clone Wars and Ahsoka. So yeah.
And that brings us to the end of that particular list of all the upcoming things for the future. I mean, just quickly then, let's just wrap up this by the future of Star Wars. Are you worried about it? Are you excited for it? Because obviously they've gone through this whole process the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years of going, we're going to do all these projects and then never doing 80, 70% of them. So are we in good hands for the time being for the future of Star Wars, or are you more worried about the future of Star Wars right now to tell the stories it needs to tell, to keep original fans engaged, to bring new fans? This could be a complicated question. I know I'm giving you so much to like give me an hour-long answer, but
yeah,
condense it down to a minute or two for me in terms of how do you feel about the future of Star Wars?
Yeah, it does get tricky, right? And I think like I am excited and optimistic for the future of Star Wars, and being in this position that we're in now as of the time of this recording, where there is a lull and I'm wanting more Star Wars, it's hard to not be excited for more Star Wars. But I also think I am in an anomaly of I have enjoyed a lot most of what Disney Star Wars has been. So that also gives me hope for what we are probably getting in the future. So yeah, long story short, especially like of all the shows and stuff that we've talked about today, I'm pretty excited for the future of Star Wars, and books and comics too, which kind of fly under the radar. But there's just a lot of good stuff coming out all the time, and I love Star Wars, which doesn't mean I have to love Star Wars, but it means that I'm excited for the future of Star Wars and think we're in good hands.
I mean,
How are you feeling?
Yeah, my love for Star Wars is never going to go away, whether it's just because I get to rewatch all the stuff that we've already had, or because we're going to get a load more stuff. I mean, you just have to look behind me to see how dominated my collection is. I mean, there's a little spot here where there's some Godzilla figures, and then there's like the Marvel's Defenders across the top there, like Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and Luke Cage. Apart from that, everything else is Star Wars behind me, and that just shows obviously the love I have for the franchise in itself. Because I'm never gonna stop loving what's already come before, and the fact that like this December it would have been 10 years since the sequels started, and us getting more Star Wars that we thought we were never going to get.
Yeah.
You know, I suppose you could say Rebels came before that, because Rebels was technically one of the first things that Disney did. I know that was something that we were going to review together, and we were both excited to do it, and we're probably not going to get around to it now, unfortunately. But you know, the fact that Disney's given us far more Star Wars than we ever thought we were going to get. Whether you liked it, hated it, doesn't really matter. We got more Star Wars than we ever thought we were going to get. We thought it was going to be like the prequels and then the Clone Wars TV series, and then that was going to be it. We never thought we were going to get much more after that. So the fact that it's carried on and we've got all that stuff that we've had over the last 10 years, and some of it has been fucking amazing. Yep, there's definitely been some low points, but it doesn't really matter to me, because like the point I always argue online when people always say, I can't believe they ruined this character for me, I can't believe that they did this, I can't believe how trash this was, and I'm just like, I don't really care. Like, it takes something spectacularly bad for me to criticize it really publicly. Sure. And I always think, I'm not here to write the story. I don't get to decide what the fucking story is. Yeah, I'm here to sit back, watch it, and enjoy the ride. Yep, I'm entitled to not enjoy bits, or to not like bits, or to think some things could have been better. But I'm not employed to write this stuff. I'm not employed to write the lore or to make sure that because you can't satisfy every single fan out there, especially fucking Star Wars fans as well.
No.
So to me, I'm here to sit back and enjoy the ride, and that is what I intend to do. Be it good stuff, bad stuff, I will watch everything that Star Wars puts out there, and I'm gonna have it, and I'm gonna enjoy it, and I'm gonna learn every part of it, because that's what I do. You know, I've always been said. It's always been said that I'm a master of canon, of canon knowledge. So I've got quite a lot of Legends canon up there as well. But you know, I watch all this stuff because I love the franchise itself.
Yeah.
So because of that, I will continue to watch this no matter what the quality is, good, bad, or whatever it is in between, because I'm a Star Wars fan. So I don't really think I have to be worried about the future of Star Wars, because it's not going to change how much I want to watch that stuff when it comes out.
Yep, love that.
There is a certain rewatchability to certain things, for sure. Some things I would eventually go back and watch, but it may take me years. Other things I will want to watch it back as soon as it finishes, or 6 months later, a year later. But for me, because of how much I love the franchise, I'm not worried about the future of it, because I will always watch it regardless. So that's probably the biggest compliment I can give a franchise. When I will watch it regardless, because of the love I have for it, that's the win for me. So
yeah.
So I'm not worried.
I think that would make a great clip that would surmise just like how we feel about the future. Like,
nice.
We love Star Wars.
Absolutely, fucking love it, mate. I can love it so much. This is why Sith.
Yeah.
So
very nice.
Jerry, thank you, buddy. I really appreciate you jumping on and just having this fun Star Wars chat about the future and what's to come and what we're going to enjoy, what we're not going to enjoy. I know you said you haven't been doing too much with the podcast at the moment, but there's no reason why people shouldn't be going out there, making sure you're following Krypton To Alderaan. And of course, there's a back catalogue of stuff you can go and watch and listen to. So let them know where they can find it, bud.
Yeah, you can find us at Krypton To Alderaan, mostly on YouTube. That's where we've been doing a lot of our stuff recently, and you can see mine and my wonderful co-host Royish Good Looks' faces as we talk about a lot of this stuff. And you could go and why don't go and give us a follow on Instagram? That's a fun place to be, I think, sometimes. So go over there to keep up with us and what we got going on, and subscribe to us on YouTube. And Andy, thank you very much for having me. This was great. I really love this conversation. It's got me hyped for what we've got coming up. Whereas recently I've been feeling like, where is Star Wars?
Yeah. It just feel a little bit lost when there's not much coming out, but
yeah,
it's not like we don't have previous content to keep us going, and then we can always get hyped about what is to come, even if it's only dribs and drabs or 1 or 2 projects a year. So hey, we've only got 6 weeks to wait till Visions, so that should sustain us for a little bit.
Yep, and we will sure be covering that on Krypton To Alderaan, so make sure you follow us for that.
Absolutely. So I'll be back next week for the, for now, final episode of Galactical Podcast. Me and Clan Mandalorian, good old Brandon, massive friend of the show, but probably been up there, probably has been on this probably more than anyone else by now. And we're going to be ranking every single Star Wars film. I say like it's a long list of like a dozen films. So it's
every single one.
It's not like it's the MCU and it's 37 films that we've got to get through.
Right.
It's only just the 12, and I've already given you 12, 11, and well, I haven't said one, but it's pretty much like if anyone knows me and Brandon or listens to the show, you'll fucking know what's going to be number one. It's not a hard one to guess. So make sure you're tuning in for that. We will be live on YouTube and Twitch to do that. But that's pretty much it for this week. Joey, thank you very much, buddy. But as always, everyone,
the Force will be with you, always.
Thanks for tuning in to the Galactic Core Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. But until next time, go get your geek on.